One of the things that I supported in my former tenure on the board was that we had a student present at the board meeting. And so that's one way to hear a voice and to have a consistent interaction with someone who represents the student population. We've had many different ways of trying to communicate with the community. And I don't think any one of them meets everybody's needs. I think that you have to do a collective. So whether it is creating another council of community volunteers to give us feedback versus the scheduled community engagement meetings that we have in place. We have a community engagement council representative. We have, I think we have to put in place a variety of things for connection in order to ensure that we get the appropriate feedback. As you know, the DPSCD board is a policy board. And so if in order for us to make policy that is representative of the needs as well as the strategic direction of the district, we have to have a variety of ways of which we get engagement.
Thank you. I'll now pass it on.
I'm glad you asked that question, because when I was on the school board, we had different committees, and one was the parent committee that I chaired. And that parent committee had regular meetings with us, several of the school board members. Of course, all school board members could not meet with the parents, because then you have a real board meeting, and you can't do that. So I was the chair of that committee for parents, and we had parents very actively involved. The purpose of that meeting that we had once a month was a listening session to listen to the parents, what their needs and concerns were. And also it was to help with some training for the parents. So in addition to that, we had visitations to the schools, but of course I had to stop visiting the schools because the staff would have problems if I came into the schools under the emergency managers. And the problems were very simple. If I was talking to a staff person, there was always somebody who would report who I was talking to, and that person could be fired. So I actually stopped going into the schools because I wanted to protect our parents, not our parents, our staff as much as possible. But our parent involvement needs to be much better than what it is now. I regret that we've hired a person who was over the program that was trying to get students away from DPS. So anyway, the point is parent involvement is critical, and you cannot learn if you don't have parents or guardians or other members of the family helping you at home. The parents are the first teachers. They are the most important teachers for our community. And so we have to work with our parents and help our parents understand their rights, particularly under Title I. So a lot of parents don't understand their rights, and it's important that they do. And so one of the things that we did is have training to explain the federal law as it relates to Title I. If you don't know the law and know how it helps you as a parent or a guardian, then people can do whatever they want to do, and you don't even know that they shouldn't be doing certain.
Thank you very much for that question, an important question. In practice and in life, I believe in co-designing solutions with those who we are intended to serve. And so for me, it would be about having what I call open office hours. It's something that I utilize in my workplace and in my experience, where we can have one-on-ones with those that we serve. In this case, it will be able to have office hours where there are times when the parents and youth can communicate with me. Also, I welcome being invited to some of the youth seminar and forums and where youth engage to listen and hear feedback. And then going forward too, being able to go to the schools. I plan on continuing to visit schools and see what's going on, and being available in those ways. And I'm also open to recommendations of things that I may have missed that are great ways to meet parents and students where they are. So I'm open to those recommendations as well. So again, open office hours, times where it's like, Regina and Kim was available to listen and hear feedback, hear insights, hear challenges, but also hear the good things that are going on that people want more of, as well as going to the schools, seeing and hearing what's going on, and invitations to school events, youth events, where I can hear and observe what's going on as well. So those would be additional to board meetings, being engaged in community.
Well, several of the initiatives that I have put in place were 100% community driven. I have come onto the board knowing that it was basically a policy writing board. But because of my entrenched community relationships, all of the initiatives, such as bullying, talking to parents and families, that was a huge issue when I first came on the board. Human trafficking, that information came to me from students who were concerned about other students. And so I rallied faith-based leaders to help me with that initiative. Homelessness, which has been a huge issue in our district. More than 3,000 students are homeless in our district. Community-driven efforts to make sure that they had coats for the winter, to make sure that we could help locate them, because without an address, it's hard to locate them. So going to the community, finding families, entire families that were in shelters or displaced, living from house to house, someone living in tents, someone living in cars. And so the community was certainly involved in that. I have relied very heavily upon my community relationships to help with the initiatives that I have championed on behalf of the board. So I didn't just sit at the board table and write policies. I actually went into the community to try to solve some of the problems and find remedies for the issues that the community brought to my attention.
Okay, so I'll give some examples of some of the things that I've done. I've tried to increase awareness for special education and gifted and talented education, which a lot of people don't know really that gifted and talented really exists. So I'm trying to get an awareness of that. I have monthly meetings where we introduce various disabilities that students may have, and try to get the general ed population involved so we can do inclusionary education for all. Right now, I'm planning some forums, but I've done some forums already. The forum that is coming up, oh geez, let's see if I can think of the name of it. It's how parents can move from advocacy to agency. Agency means you own whatever it is that you want to have happen. Advocacy is you've been doing all that work. So now that you've been doing it, what has it resolved in? What are some of the wonderful things that'll happen? So for general ed, it might be college and career readiness. For special ed, it's probably going to be transitioning from high school to either a 2-year community college or eventually to a 4-year or something of that nature. I also host parent meetings, student meetings at various middle schools, and can do it also at the high schools. Just depends on the principal. But I attend honors assemblies, graduations, I'm a commencement speaker. I just do a lot of different things out in the community. And I also do it at the churches for the students. Scholarships and things like that.